Hi Greedy 3Ds, a little bit out of my comfort zone here because I'm going to be testing a resin today, a new resin by HeyGears that's not designed for miniature printers, for model makers out there, for us people who like to build our superhero bus. It's not for us. This is more of an engineering resin that will be compatible with the RS and the RS Turbo. It's their PAH10 resin, and it's more, as I say, engineering. It's more for heat resistance, durability and strength. So we'll be testing that today as best we can without a plethora of equipment that will do certain tests for me, but I'll do the best I can from a user level and we'll have a closer look at it. Now, it's not a cheap resin and it's coming in around about 95 quid per kilogram, but I think we can do something with the price and I'll see what I can do with some discounts for you. But if you're looking for an engineering resin, something to make a part that's durable, that's long living, long lasting, that won't warp under heat, maybe this is a resin for you, and maybe this is the video you've been looking for. Stay tuned. Now, before I put the PAH10 resin in, I thought I'd just take a moment to show you guys how I get rid of the resin that's already in the vat, because I have been asked by quite a few of you what I do. So I thought, let's do that now and I'll show you. If you don't want to see this bit, then just skip forward to where we start talking about the PAH10. But the first thing I do is I put a filter into the bottle I'm pouring out, and I will tip out as much as I can using the handy spout. I will then take a spatula. In my case, it is metal. Please, if you feel free to diss me in the comments that I shouldn't be using a metal one, carry on, fill your boots, put it in there. I've used a metal one for the last 4 or 5 years. I've never damaged a FEP with it, and I'm very careful, very careful. But if you would rather use a plastic one or a piece of cardboard, go ahead, do it. But for me, it's metal. I like to live on the edge. Once I've got as much of it out as I can, I'll squirt some IPA, and that is IPA in that bottle. It's not a fancy cleaner of any kind. I'll squirt away to make sure I get plenty of it in there. Then I'll take some of this blue roll and give it a wipe. I've also heard people don't do it with rolls. They use fibre cloth. I use rolls. I've never had any problem with this blue roll stuff. Give it a good old clean until everything is mopped out and cleaned out and you have a nice shiny clean. You can almost eat your dinner off. Never eat your dinner off it, of course. A FEP, or a release film as it's called. Give it a good old clean for the last few bits. Get all the dregs out. Be careful when you're cleaning the bottom because you don't want to get any resin on it at all, as that will cure. Now, the PAH10. I'm going to be pouring this in. This is in the HeyGears usually shaped bottle, their little L-shaped bottle, and I always pour it in because I find that the auto feed system works but can be a little bit slow to start your print, and I don't really want to be waiting too long. So I'll pour a few 100 mils in to start with, just by undoing the lid on the PAH10 before I put the lid back on, after giving it a clean of course, and then I will take the top section of the lid off and feed that into the auto feed system of my RS Turbo, which is what I'm using at the moment. There is one of those handy little release valves that sits on all those bottles, so you can tip it upside down without it falling out. Slot it in, pop it all the way down, and then what will happen is you'll get a slow release of the PAH10, which will top up your vat at a slow pace. You can see why I poured it in. We'd be waiting there forever. Now I've gone into the slicer. I'm going to be choosing the Ultracraft Reflex RS Turbo. I'm not using the pulse release module. Now I've selected it because I want to show you this resin does not appear under the list for pulse release modules. So if you want to use your PRM, you can't with this resin at the moment. So select no PRM, go back down, and there you will see the resin has now appeared, the PAH10. I am going to select this resin, and then it's going to take me down to the size that I want to use, and there's only one size to choose, and that's 50 microns. Click apply, and you are now ready to continue your journey. And all I'm going to do is add a couple of pieces in to the blueprint slicer. I'm doing a PlayStation holder that's a big thick chunky piece that I'm not going to holler. I'm doing a PlayStation controller casing, and I'm doing the end of a hair dryer first and foremost. I'll do some other stuff, but these are the first ones that I'm going to do. I'm not going to mess with supports. I'm going to auto support them. Keep it nice and simple, no changing of anything. It's been auto supported, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slice this file and then I'll send it across to the RS. We'll print them. The reason I've done these is the hairdryer end for heat. I want the PlayStation controller plastic cover to see how durable it is, and the other part is a big thick heavy piece that I like to drop these and see how they get on. Most times these big pieces will smash because of their weight, so let's see how durable it is with that. Once you've sliced it, we're going to send it across, as I say, to the RS. That's really easy to do. Just select send and it will pop a little icon up, a little folder, a little show bit there that will tell you which of your printers are ready for it. Choose your turbo, send to LAN, and job is a good one. That file is winging away to your RS in my man cave or wherever your printer is. God, I'm waffling, aren't I? Once that file's gone across there, go to job list and hey presto, there is your job, and select print. Now the first thing it said is, are you sure you don't want to use your pulse release module? Are you taking a mickey, RS? It's not on a pulse release module bleeding list, is it? Anyway, it's going to heat the resin up to 23 degrees, and some hours later, I think it was about 6 hours later, we have a successful print. Everything has gone okay. It all looks good. Didn't have any issues, any problems during the print. Everything did what it was supposed to do. So the next thing to do, of course, is to get that off the plate. How easy does it come off the plate? Well, I've seen other reviewers have a little bit of trouble getting this off. I'm not having any problems, really. I was expecting a bit of a problem. I thought it was going to be really, really difficult. But you know what? I didn't find it any more difficult than anything else. Just had to use a medium of a spatula to give it a gentle persuasion, a gentle poke and a prod, and it came off. Perhaps all right. If I'm going to be really picky, it might have needed a little bit more work than normal, but nothing drastic. I'm going to give it a clean with some IPA to get any residue off, because the RS and the turbo is really sensitive to little bits on the build plate. You really want to make sure you've got a really clean build plate. You don't want anything left on it, or your next print will fail, and pop it back up, and we're going to send the next print to it, which we'll have a look at in a bit. Now I'm going to clean these things off really well. I'm going to use a dirty wash first, which is what I always do with everything really. I don't try not to contaminate my clean IPA any more than I have to, so a dirty wash is what I'm going to use. Now nothing has been hollowed here, so I know it's not going to gather anything. And once I've cleaned it in some clean IPA, which I did do off camera, I cleaned it in the Formlabs cleaning station, give it a quick heat with a hairdryer just to loosen the supports, and the supports have come off beautifully, no issues, no dramas. Again, a quick heat on the controller case and they've come off as well. And I didn't find the supports any different to normal. They weren't harder to get off. I thought, being quite a rigid resin, they would be difficult, but they're not. So hats off to HeyGears. The supports have come off wonderful, and they've done their job. Everything is printed. It looks fine. The printing looks fine. Everything as printed as I would expect it to do. And this heavy old controller here, little bit of heat, popped it off. Job again is good. There's a little bit of weight to that, as you can imagine, because it's a solid piece, but it is a PlayStation controller holder. Now I have popped everything in the curing station, and I've given it 20 minutes to cure, as is the recommendation from HeyGears. So it's had a good 20 minutes, and I make sure that I turned it around as I went through it. Now then, what I thought I need to do at this stage is just have a little look at some of the stuff that it's printed and see how durable it is. So let's start with that really heavy PlayStation piece. This is a solid bit of kit, and I dropped it a couple of times. I'm not going to lie, I didn't catch it on camera and nothing broke. But then typically this happened. The end broke off. That was on about the third drop from around about 4 foot. So it lasted a couple of times. I tried it again a couple of times, and all was good. The last time it was about 5 foot, and unfortunately it did smash. So yes, it broke, but what I didn't catch on film, because it was a long story, but what I didn't catch on film was a couple of times I tried it before that when it didn't break. The controller cover is next, and I dropped that from 4 foot. Didn't mark it, absolutely fine. Dropped it from around about 5 foot, not a mark on it. Everything was good. This thing, I think I could have dropped it all day and it wouldn't have shattered, it wouldn't have broke, it wouldn't have had a mark on it. It's perfect, no dramas at all. Rigid, strong, firm, a little bit flexible. Yeah, happy with that. And as you can see, there was zero damage with it, so it certainly did the trick. I think that big heavy one, it's always a bit of a faux pas dropping a big fat heavy thing, because they tend to break. The part for the hairdryer, I shoved that on the hairdryer, on Mrs. Greedy's one. and just turned it on, and I left it on there for a good old 20 minutes at maximum, and it got hot. You know, there's some heat in that coming off it, but it didn't melt. I took it off, give it a couple of seconds to cool because it was too hot to hold, and yeah, absolutely no problem now. It can take up to 95 degrees apparently, according to the documentation, and it certainly did it. I printed some brackets for a shelf also, and I thought, you know what, let's see if I can break them. Let's see what the durability is like. So I tried. I really and genuinely gave it my best shot to snap them, and I could not do it. And I am a big burly bloke. No, I'm not really, but you know, I'm not a weakling. I'm quite strong, and I couldn't break them. I couldn't bend them. There was a little bit of flex in them, a tiny bit of flex. So yeah, they are strong. They are durable. I am really impressed. Other 3D prints that I've used brackets for have just snapped, but these ones definitely not. Another load of PAH10 has been presented to me from the printer. This time I'm making a can holder for my desk, and I'm also going to make something to store some brooms, and that needs to be strong, needs to be firm. The can holder's got a couple of screws and threads, so that will be interesting to check how accurate they are. And again, it's come off the build plate okay. A little bit harder than some resins, but it's certainly not welded onto the build plate at all. I've got no dramas with getting it off. I think it just shows you that the resin is tough, which is what we want really in this situation. Giving it a good cleaning, dirty, then some clean IPA, and I've just given things a little bit of a heat to get them off. Firstly, the screw thread. I was interested to see how this came off and what was left behind on the thread, because obviously if there's bits left on or in the thread, it will not work. And I'm happy to say that the supports came off and there was nothing left in either of the threads, which is a great accolade really, the little thread and the large thread. The actual unit itself that holds the can is well supported, but supports have come off reasonably easily. Just give them a little bit of a twist. I did heat them very slightly with a hairdryer, but again, you know, you want the supports to do their job and support it, so they've done that, and I'm pleased. Everything is printed grand. There is the little broom holder that Mrs. Greedy wanted, which again I've done, and that needs to be quite firm, so I'm going to mount that up first. As you can see, just giving it a little twist and a poke. It's got to be firm because I'm going to be wedging brushes into it, or broom staves into it, so I'm going to screw it onto the side of the decking, and again the screws went in, they're nice and tight, nothing split. The brooms themselves, give them a little bash and they went in, again no splitting or breaking, everything good. You know, this is a sturdy, rigid resin, and it's I can think of a lot of resins that would have cracked in this situation. This is the can holder, the desk can holder that I made, and again just squeezing it together and pulling it apart. It's not going to break. It really is not brittle. It's a little bit bendy, but it's very, very strong, and I think this will give you the image of just how strong it is, in the sense of that I can't break it if I push it and poke it, and nothing is breaking off it. The threads that are going in there, the screws and the threads, the tolerances are brilliant, and that thread goes in and it turns perfectly, no drama. The little one goes into the big one, and that one fits as well. So we've got some wonderful tolerances going on. Everything screws in, so if you're making a component that's got screws in and it needs accuracy, then you certainly seem to be getting accuracy from the test that I've done here. But how well will it go onto the desk? I'm going to tighten it up really, really tight, and I'm going to pop a full old can of Coke in it. Of course, it's the sugar-free Coke because I'm healthy, you know. Dropping in a full can there, it's not even moving. That thing is strong and sturdy. It's certainly doing what it says on the proverbial tin. So like I said at the start of the video, I haven't got fancy testing equipment that can do these miracle strength tests and tests to check the durability and tests to check how much heat this thing will take. I just don't have that kind of equipment. I'm a basic 3D printer user, but what I can do is know if a resin is doing what it says it's going to do on the tin for me. And if I'm looking to print a part that's durable and strong and heat resistant, will this do the trick, or do I need to spend a lot more money on getting something that will do a similar job? Now, the comparison that I think HeyGears are going for here is the Formlabs 4K rigid resin, and if we compare the two on price alone, you're looking at 200 quid per kilogram for the Formlabs against just under 100 quid per kilogram for the HeyGears. So it is quite a lot more on the Formlabs, and I've never tested the Formlabs rigid, to be fair, so I can't make a direct comparison. But what I can say with the HeyGears resin is I've had a bit of a mixed bag with it from a result perspective. On the PlayStation case, that was pretty damn durable. I dropped it a few times, I bent it, I squeezed it, I twisted it, and it lasted. It lived throughout all of those. So it did what it said on the tin. When I had a really heavy solid piece and that fell from the drop test of around about 4 or 5 feet, it did actually break. What I didn't catch on video was I dropped it about 4 or 5 times before it broke, and I was actually thinking, you know, I don't think this is going to break. But then I don't know whether I'd weakened it, I don't know whether something had changed within it, but it did break on subsequent falls. But it did hold its own up until that point. Other things like the hairdryer end that I heated as best I could with a hairdryer until it got so hot I could hardly touch it. Didn't warp out of shape, cooled down nicely, didn't melt, everything was good. So there is definitely heat resistance in it. Now, HeyGears are saying it's up to 95%. I can't check that, and I'm certainly not sticking it in my oven to check that because Mrs. Greedy would probably kill me. But I can say that a hot hairdryer running for about 20 minutes on it didn't cause it to melt or do anything like that. And I think that's quite a reasonable accolade, to be fair. I made those wall brackets as well, and I physically could not break them with my bare hands. And I'm a big fat muscly bloke. You know, I'm not a little weakly man, and I was really trying to well, yeah, I'm a weakly man, but we won't talk about that. I did try and break them, I really did try, and I couldn't. So I think for rigid strong parts, yeah, I've got no problem in saying it will do that. For cases, casings, phone cases, stuff like that, this will be good stuff. I think it'll do a really good job. Wall brackets in general, absolutely fine. Just the big heavy stuff for me was a bit too fragile. It broke after a few drops, but then there's a lot of weight in that piece that I printed for the PlayStation controller holder. There's an awful lot of weight in it, so I'm not really surprised, and I don't think it's really aimed at that kind of thing anyway. I did some other bits and pieces, as you saw, the cup holder, which did the job wonderfully and will hold a cup of nice hot water without breaking. So I think, yes, for a rigid, tough resin, I think it's absolutely fine. I wouldn't say it didn't do what it's supposed to do. Heat resistance seems to do the same. It's a very difficult one for me because to recommend something to you guys, I need all the evidence, and the only evidence I can produce is what you've seen me do today, which isn't exactly scientific. But I've used an awful lot of resins over my time, a lot of brittle resins as well, and this ain't brittle. This is not brittle at all. If I was making a PlayStation controller case, I would be more than happy with something like this. If I was making a case for something that was going to go on the wall to have electrics in, as an example, I'd be more than happy for this to be used. I'm confident after using it for a couple of weeks now and printing quite a few little bits and pieces with it that it's pretty good stuff. Does it do everything that it says? I can't say whether it does or doesn't, but I would suspect what you're going to do is do your homework and look at other channels and look at other research. But this, I hope, gives you a snippet into the usage of this PAH10, and it will allow you to make your mind up as whether you want to buy it or not for the project that you are doing. Now, I should be able to get you a discount. I'll put all the links down below in the description. It'll probably be an affiliate link, I'm not going to lie, but if I can save you some money as well, that's what it's all about, using the code GREEDY, I would believe it is, and it should be able to save you a few quid while they're running this promotion. Have a look. I'll put all the latest details down below. Let me know what you think. Have you used this resin? Have you seen it used? Have you used it before? Have you tried the Formlab stuff? What do you think of it? I just want to hear your opinion, because what else happens is people read the comments and they'll read what I do and they'll also read what you guys say. So it's interesting to get a varied opinion on this. If you like the channel and you like the content that we're putting out, please just do a couple of things for me. It will take you a couple of seconds. Subscribe to the channel, like the video and share it. That's free, cheap, simple, easy, and that's all you need to do. And I'll be so thankful for you just promoting the channel that way. We do have a Patreon. If you want to join the Patreon, you'd be more than welcome to do so. It's free or a couple of quid a month, your choice of course. And thank you to my Patreons for your support so far. The names that are whizzing past you now are you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this video today. As I say, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I've quite enjoyed being outside of my comfort zone. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time real soon on Greedy 3D. Thank you to HeyGears for sending me the resin to have a little bit of a play with. Let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.